What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday, a real happy Friday indeed. Our first NBA full slate. We've got the Christmas Day type schedule. It's going to be a blast. I'm going to be sitting back. It's Friday, so I'm probably going to, I'm sleep deprived. I'm exhausted. But after the baseball locks, I think I'm going to have a beer and just watch the sports and jump back and forth and just go completely all over the place, degenerate, over the top. Too much sports, stuff. But I want it all, man. I'm into it. I'm ready for this slate. What are you thinking about the NBA slate, and how good does it feel to have NBA back?
So first of all, we didn't talk about this before we went on. So I have an interesting schedule today because I'm gonna, I have my businesses I'm doing, and then also, what's happening is after the NBA locks, I'll watch, not locks. I'll watch some NBA, and then they have the Venom on ACR with a $7 million guarantee with a 2,500 buy-in, which I'm playing. There were three start dates or something like that, and I can't play them over the weekend, so I'm gonna fire it today.
What is the buy-in?
2,500.
Oh, it's the big one, the giant tournament. What are the other days?
I barely remembered, so I'm definitely gonna fire that off. So I would like to get my baseball done before, and I'm gonna be, me, I'm gonna late register right till the end. So it's probably already started already. So there's that going on, and tomorrow I might be off. From videos. I'm gonna get my some stuff up in the morning maybe, but I'm playing the golf championship at my club tomorrow. So
awesome, man.
I'm playing at like 11. I have an 11 o'clock tee time tomorrow, so we'll see what I can come up with tomorrow. But yeah, I'm psyched for NBA to officially be back, and I'll tell you that I don't know. I think it's gonna be like baseball. I kind of liked it, the NBA and the setup there. On the one hand, I felt like the crowd noise and all that stuff was kind of real, and yet I feel like I was getting manipulated.
Right.
So, but I'll get used to it. I think that the effort put forth was good. I personally didn't appreciate them withholding freaking Zion. You know what I mean? But whatever.
I don't like what they did with. I think it was a bad coaching. It was almost like a weird.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to manage minutes, you obviously leave him in there for the last minutes of the game. Like, it didn't make any sense. It was just a horrible.
When the hell are you going to play the guy? You know what I mean?
Horrible job.
But you know what? I thought everybody had the teams had good energy, and we're going to get into it. We talked just before we were getting on, just letting everybody know here that, I want to talk about how to play NBA in general and stuff like that. But we also wanted to get through the slate. What I think I'm going to do is maybe one of these days when we, a little less pressed for time, we'll spend a little more time on NBA, how to play and overall general stuff, because we want to put general stuff on the site anyway.
Yeah.
But I'll try to weave in as much theory as possible within the time constraints of what we're doing here. How about that? Is that fair?
That makes sense to me. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's get into it, man. I allowed you to share your screen. We can pull up just and go.
Yeah. So this is not a lineup. I'm just telling you. This is just something actually, I shouldn't say that. I filled this out 10 days ago or something like that, like a week ago, when I kind of thought what was going to happen, just something to tide me over, and then we'll go back and we'll talk for real what we're going to do. Just so you guys know, I'm going to be max entering the cheap one on Fanduel today. That's going to be my plan. I'm max entering that one, and on this one in the NBA on DraftKings, probably going to go maybe 18 lineups, something like that. I haven't quite 100% decided yet. But let's just go. You want to just go game by game?
Yeah, let's go game by game. I've got my ownerships that I'm still plugging in, doing the big stuff.
Oh, I'm not even remotely finished. So we'll I hope to derive some gems from you here. Now again, the slate's interesting because it's each game. It kind of staggers like Christmas Day. Sort of it looks like the 2:30, the first game will kind of spill over, and actually the 6:30 spill. It's actually interesting if you look at the time frames of these things. But remember that in general, it's a good idea to remain flexible where you can. So if you can stay and watch all the games and just be able to make changes, I guess that, if you could find stuff in the later games that would definitely help your flexibility. And the other thing you should do, if you're not using an optimizer, which will do this for you, you should always make sure that whatever guys you have in your later games, you put in the flex position, so that if you do need to, to make changes, you have more flexibility to do that.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's obviously an important point that we like. I even still make that mistake, so don't feel bad if you make that mistake because it does happen to the best of us, especially as we do late swaps and we don't know who's playing and yada yada yada. I do think it's. I mean, first of all, if you play Jonathan Isaac on DraftKings today, I can assure you that you. I don't. Let me just see real quick what some projections are of Jonathan Isaac on DraftKings. You might be alone. You might be truly alone.
This was 10 days ago. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, and if we got the old Jonathan Isaac, sure. But, projection at 16 minutes right now, obviously.
Well, I'm just totally tilted because I had like 80% of him when he went out after 2 minutes of play when he got injured.
Oh,
I mean, we both loved him that day. I don't even remember. But within 2 minutes, he was out for the year. So I'm a little tilted. Okay, so let's talk about Brooklyn and Orlando because I want to get right into it because probably my favorite play maybe on the slate, I don't know, we're going to get into this, is in this game. I mean, how do you not play Jared Allen here?
Interesting. That was not what I thought you were going to say first.
Yeah, so on the Brooklyn side, we'll go team by team.
I always like to go first team on top first.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of the industry standard. We can go either way, but I just get confused sometimes.
We make our own industry, man. So
okay, well we can.
So my top three guys. Okay, so my top three guys on Orlando are going to be Vooch at center, but I'm probably not going to play him because I'm going to have Jared Allen. Markelle Fultz and Evan Fournier. And Evan Fournier, again, for those of you who haven't been following along, he's usually not the type that puts ceilings in. And I don't usually like to play him in GPPs in general, unless you could put him in with a lot of upside guys. So for me, it's Vooch and Fultz, and I don't even know how much I'm going to get to either of them.
Yeah, I sort of feel similarly. I think that taking a shot in large field tournaments on Aaron Gordon is a good idea. You're going to get zero ownership. And look, this is a small slate. This is not a giant slate. So trying to find a place you can get some sort of differentiation, and you're going to find a lot of it at power forward, both on FanDuel and DraftKings today. And Aaron Gordon is the guy who is overpriced based on his productivity usually. Does occasionally have that 50 fantasy point ceiling he can hit. Good matchup for him, by the way. And a guy who's just getting overlooked. So from an overall slate perspective, and maybe I should have started with this, my general strategy, especially for the big millionaire maker entries on DraftKings, for the I think I might max it out at either $25 too, the big one. But I'm going to I think what I'm going to do is focus on just getting way less on the field on everybody who's basically over 10K and above the field on these other guys, which is sort of what I talked about a little bit yesterday on a small slate. But that's what and by the way, that was sort of, I believe, the overall correct strategy, even if the results aren't there. I think that's the right way to go today. And I think that what that's going to end up leaving me doing is being able to play a lot of guys like Aaron Gordon, who's going to be 5% owned and having 10% or 15% of them, something like that. You know what I mean?
Yep. Meanwhile, a little bit of a brag for both of us. I mean, now, not that he was anything special, but he was, let's put it this way, on a 2-game slate, he was only 45% owned. And Clarkson, what would he go, 10x yesterday?
Oh, he was. I don't even know how he wasn't like in every lineup unless everyone tried to get cute. Like, I really didn't understand it. I thought he was the obvious. I mean, he was like the core guy,
Yep.
And by the way, LeBron did have, Anthony Davis did outscore LeBron DK wise, all the things that I said would happen like that.
Yep.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about Brooklyn.
Can we talk about Jonathan Isaac on FanDuel for 1 second?
Sure.
I think we can take that shot on FanDuel at minimum cost $3,900, or is it 35 or 39? I think you can take that shot. The problem is there's a lot of good value on FanDuel, but if you get 20 minutes out of Isaac, we've seen Isaac in 2 minutes put up 20 fantasy points without scoring even. He just can do so many things on the court. You got a sloppy team you're playing against.
He's almost a lock on FanDuel. No, I mean.
Well, no, because you don't need that savings. And and there's other guys like Troy Brown you could play. You know what I mean? Who's going to get the minutes for Washington,
Right.
So I don't know. It's just it's interesting. On FanDuel, definitely more interested than I am on DraftKings. I really just can't get into the rest of this roster, but I do think that I can get. I think I'm going to play a tiny bit of Markelle Fultz, like 5 or 10%. That's about it.
Okay. All right. Brooklyn. I mean, isn't he fine? I mean, again, it's the first game of the year. Whatever. Isn't with Jordan out? I mean, who's gonna take his minutes? Jared Allen. And
Orlando plays really big. That's why I don't understand the minutes projection. So I agree with you that he's a much better play than like I think people are going to be on him though. I think I looked at Fanduel most of the morning because I like the tournaments better. I'm not playing the 3180. And I wanted to wait to build out my lines after I looked at Fanduel. So looking at only one center, there's some other guys who stayed out over there to me, and he's 6.7. But at 5.8 on DraftKings, yeah, absolutely a guy you want in your lineups. Probably going to be really chalky, but that's fine.
Well, who do you like better? I mean, we'll get to it in a minute, but the same price, Nurkic at 5,900. You know?
I have no interest in Nurkic. I mean, he might have been a lineup. Why would I play Nurkic? Like, he's not even starting.
Oh, he's not? Okay.
I mean, they have Whiteside there still too, and Zach Collins, and people keep saying that they all fit together. They don't. They just completely don't.
So that's the case. I like Allen here.
Yeah, Allen's the guy at this price, and I love him. And the best play though, for me by far on the Brooklyn side, and I love that the ownership is where it is. I don't like taking players against Brooklyn for the most part. It doesn't matter. There's not anybody else who can carry this offense the way that Karis LeVert can.
Yeah. And
I just feel like we can't miss out on this 50 spot. So he's currently like on FanDuel, one of my highest owned players, and he is on DraftKings also. I think you're getting an ownership bargain, a steal on him, I should say. I really just think he's too high of a ceiling here to be as low owned as he is. And the more and more I go through it, the more I think, God, he's got to be higher owned. And can I really be wrong here? Like, what is he going to hurt us with? What kind of a number is he going to put up here that's going to hurt us?
No, I'm with you. Again, I haven't really gone through all the NBA because of our scheduling issues, whatever. But just first look, I mean, certainly looks fine to me. I got to see what the rest of the board looks like. So for now, he's certainly a guy I want to put in. I just want to throw a couple of other guys in.
I do want to add, though, it's a semi-meaningful game a little bit. Like, these teams are both battling 7-8, the 7-8 seed. If you're the 7 seed, it would avoid you having to play the potential team at the bottom. So obviously you want to win if you're both these teams, right? Like, this is actually like a motivated game.
Sounds good to me. I mean, they except for Zion, it looked like everybody was trying to play to win yesterday.
I mean, I don't think Zion played poorly.
I don't mean Zion. I mean,
Zion actually played great while he was on the court. I think
the hell's his name?
He scored a real point per minute.
Gentry.
Yeah, Gentry. I don't know what he was doing.
All right, so let me throw a couple of dart throws. Again, I don't know dart throws. I don't know how old these guys are. I'm going to throw a couple of guys. Yeah, Tyler Johnson for sure at 3,200. He's also an upside type guy. I mean, he likes to fire away. But just again, if you want, another just no shot guy. But you could put in Chris Chiozza at 3,900. Mm-hmm. So that's another guy I would throw in. I'm not a Joe Harris guy at 5,400. But so yeah, I think LeVert obviously rates to have like an incredible usage percentage, right, out of this team.
I mean,
no Kyrie and no.
Who the hell's Chiozza's going to handle the ball? Garrett Temple, who's literally nothing but a catch and shoot guy anymore. Like, there's nobody who can create. That actually does make it almost feel like, God, maybe are we missing something by not playing both Kurix and Tyler Johnson? Because at least they can sort of get shots off a little bit. I don't know, man. This team is going to have a really hard – I'm actually surprised that they're only projected as a 7-point underdog here. I would put them as like a 15-point underdog. Like, seriously. Look at this lineup, this roster.
Yeah, but they're at home. Oh, yeah, that's right.
All right. I'm more and more sold on LeVert is going to have to keep this game close. I guess that's your concern, is that we actually are on that first game and we're worried about blowout risk.
And we're not going to play Isaac at 5,800.
I actually think Orlando might kill him. This actually looks really bad.
What do you think of just of the early versus late game stuff on the way the slate just kind of plays out? Do you want to play that much of the early game though? Just for flexibility's sake. I mean, I guess if you really like it.
I love LeVert and Allen.
Okay.
I like. Let's see. I'm looking at the Orlando side of it.
I could do without the Orlando side of it on DraftKings probably.
Yeah, I just think that you could throw in. I don't mind Vucevic and Gordon at all. And I'm starting to come on to Fultz a little bit. I really think that might be a decent play, but
yeah, but you know what?
I mean, better stuff.
I mean, now that I think of it, I just look at this board. I look at the Nets. I see no Dinwiddie. I see no Prince. I see no what's his name, Kyrie. Like LeVert's gonna have like a 70% usage rate. I mean, like who else is gonna score? You know.
But it also does. I mean, why is this game? Okay, so I'll talk about this on a different show later. Because
Yeah, I guess so. All right, let's move ahead to Phoenix and Washington. Boy, oh boy. Speaking of, all right. So no Bradley Beal. I had delusion that John Wall was going to come back, but no Bertans. Boy, oh boy, Hachimura is expensive as hell. All right, let's go. You want to look at Phoenix first? Oh, actually, I had a different order. Yeah, but let's do, as long as I'm here. Let's do this game. Okay. So looking at Phoenix first, nobody really stood out that much. I mean, Ayton's fine, I guess. Booker's fine, I guess. Nothing looked to be that great of a, first glance to me. On Washington, I was really into. Look, maybe I'm just a donkey, but with Beal out, I would presume that Shabazz Napier would get, just a lot of his run, and Troy Brown also. So those two guys would probably be my favorites from the Washington side. And yeah, I could lose more money on Moritz Wagner, I suppose, or I don't feel like losing more money on Ish Smith. Thomas Bryant, maybe. Again, I have to see with the other guys, but those guys would be the guys that I have interest in. I would make none of them like a huge priority for me, though.
Yeah, I think that you could get broken if you don't have somebody from this Washington side.
Okay.
Because I just don't know how they're going to do it. Now, they do have more bodies. This is not Brooklyn. But they're going to keep it and play with their pace. Phoenix will be happy to play at that pace as well. It's a strange spot. I honestly am struggling with it because this is another one of those that I could see them getting pummeled, except for Phoenix isn't as good as Orlando probably, which sounds weird to say. But I don't know. The minutes projection is going to be – they're going to be off early in the season. So we can't really play Hachimura over here. I think he's fine on Fanduel at 5,600. Shabazz, I think you want to play over here instead of Fanduel. I think that you don't want to go crazy with him because I do think that it could be Ish, it could be him. I don't see them playing him and Ish a lot together. In fact, I don't really know how that would work just in terms of guarding both Rubio and Booker, who both post up. Like, it really makes sense. So you can't really hide those guys on anyone else either. Maybe
I thought Rubio was good on FanDuel when I first looked.
I like Rubio on FanDuel. Yeah, I have him, and I'm fine with him. So I guess my overall plan on this is I don't like this spot with Washington. No. It's a very high. I usually like to embrace the variance, but there's nobody you can sort of hitch your wagon to that you feel good about. So I'm going to be over the field on Ish. I'm going to be over the field on Troy Brown. I'm going to be over the field on Shabazz Napier, which is not going to take me an incredible amount. These are not really high guys. And I'm going to be slightly over the field on Isaac Bonga.
Bonga. Interesting.
3.3. You get the forward eligibility, so you don't need to take up one of the guard spots, even though the forwards are strong on FanDuel especially. It's just about the minutes. And that, look, with no usage before, he's not a high usage guy. And actually, I think our projections are a little bit off on him. But he is a guy who could be on the court for 30 minutes potentially. And he's 3.3. That's basically my argument.
Yeah. Again, I don't know if I can do Bonga, but I'll root for you.
I think what you want to do is just try and get slightly overweight on everybody who's viable in this game, which on Phoenix is really just Ayton, Booker, and Rubio. And I think you want to be overweight on everybody who's viable on Washington. But, you don't need to get crazy with it. This doesn't need to be a guy in every lineup because somebody's going to go nuts. It could actually spread out. You got guys like Jerome Robinson who might be, you know what I mean? We saw a spot earlier this year where, who was it? Jordan, was it Crawford? I can't remember who it was. Somebody came in and was playing for Washington at the time and put up like 60 DK points in one of these kind of spots. So it does worry me. But they have enough bodies to spread it out. They're not really playing for much. I don't think they're going to extend anybody a ton of minutes. So I just think we stay slightly overweight on the guys and hope that just the minutes equal money and that they're going to have to play some and that usage equals money and that somebody's going to have to take up some of this usage.
Yeah. All right, we can move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, so we'll move on. We'll move back. So Memphis, Portland. So we'll look at Memphis first. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I feel weird saying how I'm overweight on these things, but I'll keep going back to what I'm going to be my overall plan. Be underweight on the expensive, popular guys. That's it. The most expensive pocket.
That's actually good advice every slate. You want to know the truth.
Yeah.
But he means especially today, first game back and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so first look at the Memphis. I mean, Jaren Jackson's basically free, right? I mean, now he's 4,900. He's always has foul risk, which
the two players with the highest foul rate per minute in the history of basketball are Jaren Jackson and Dylan Brooks.
That's pretty funny.
And it's both.
I'm not too worried about Dylan Brooks though, as far as the foul risk.
Well, he always plays the minutes, but he always fouls out. He plays 32 minutes and fouls out.
So I look at Jaren Jackson, and I would, he's probably, I would imagine, going to be really popular at 4,900. So if you didn't want to do that, I mean, you want to pivot off of him, and you can go to Brandon Clark. I mean, that's certainly fine too at 4,100. We had some pretty good luck with him. Aside from that, is it John Morant time? I don't know. Maybe now, maybe later. I like playing him, but I just have a feeling I'm going to find better at guard. So from Memphis, Jaren Jackson, I mean, my favorite play. And I guess Brandon Clark could be next. I'm not going to go to Valanciunas here. Really not a lot. So I'll do Portland, then you'll go back to both of them? We'll do that?
Yeah. Sure, that's fine.
Okay. On Portland, yeah, I don't know how they're carrying all three of these guys. I don't know how they're carrying all three of these guys on the team. Collins, Whiteside, and Nurkic. It's really not fair to them. You know what I mean? Like, all three of them could start somewhere. You know what I mean? And you want to tell me that you're going to start two of them in the same line? Yeah, okay, you could put Collins in with Nurkic or Whiteside, whatever it is, but you can't. I really think that's one of the. Somebody's got to be traded, right? And at some point, like Whiteside or Nurkic can't exist together on the same team.
Yeah, I mean, Whiteside was supposed to be the backup guy anyway. If they got him because Nurkic got hurt, but that would be the idea.
So okay, so my three favorite guys, no big surprise, are going to be Collins at 3K is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you want to, I mean, if they tell me he's going to get 24 minutes, for example, he's like a lock. You know what I mean? And he might get more. So that's, I guess, easy money or easy 80%. I don't know what it's going to be, but then there's Nurkic and there's Lillard, and we talked about this. So you can tell me how much you want to play Lillard, but there's a lot of other guys on the slate, but Lillard he means business, and he might be the guy to come out and tell the coach, dude, you take me out, I'm not interested, and just put up a zillion points. I don't know, but Collins is my favorite play, and Nurkic and Lillard.
Yeah, Lillard's my favorite play of the slate.
Okay.
I'm not going to shy away from my takes in basketball. Like
Why would you ever? I mean, what do you mean?
No, because there's other sports where I can question this, and of course, sure, things could work out differently. But I'm playing the narrative that makes the most sense, and it's not a narrative like a weird driven narrative. It's an actual real life narrative. This team is desperate to make the playoffs if they're going to be there. They have the most hungry guy with a chip on his shoulder who's basically like a Steph who would beat the hell out of you in a street fight. And that's his mentality that he plays with. And what you were saying about the coach pulling, that's 100% the way he thinks. By the way, McCollum's got a little bit of this in him too. It's a guy who I'm always going to bet on, though. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to try and take him there. I expect Memphis to play them pretty tough here. As long as this game stays close, it's really hard for me to see Lillard not being the best of the high-end spends. I'm just having trouble with it, along with potentially Westbrook, who's the same price. So you put those two together in a lineup, and you make that your core, and all of a sudden, this whole slate being small doesn't feel – you don't need to worry about ownership so much anymore, because you're going to have a guy who's 10% and a guy who's 20% at the same price, and the combination of those two guys being in lineups are already going to be – you're talking about like 3 or 4% of lineups maximum probably. So that's what I'm going to start off with on DraftKings. It starts with Lillard. It starts with Lillard and Westbrook together.
What about
but the other guys, Collins, I'll be 35, 45%. I don't think you have to marry yourself. There's so many value plays out there, which is why it's not to pay all the way up. And I think you can take a shot on Nurkic, because I still think there's upside for him. But I just think that I don't want to make him a priority. Like a 10 to 15% is okay on the big field tournaments, but I don't think you want to make him a priority. And on Memphis, I really like Jaren Jackson, and I'm going to be overfield on both sites on Dylan Brooks. Again, minutes equal money. The guy's going to play minutes. 5.1 is a little more than I want to spend. He's 4.3 on DraftKings, but I still think he's actually a good play over here. So I sort of like this game as a mini stack like that. I don't like Morant as much over here. He's cheaper on FanDuel, but I also think that there's just other good point guards like Morant, even versus Rubio, is a question mark to me. And also, they do limit his minutes at different times, although I think they'll go out there and try and – so anyway, long story short with Morant, I'll be over the field on him, but I won't have much of him, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
And then the one guy you should take some shots on is Joe Val, though. I mean, look at the size Portland has. Yeah, Joe Val, Brandon Clark are both worth taking shots on. But, I mean, they're different, obviously, kind of shots. Joe Val's going to start, and he always plays around 28 minutes. There's sometimes upside for 32 to 34 in there, and this is a monster team. I mean, we just talked about their size. The only other guy who can compete physically is Clark and Jang. So I guess Jang might get more minutes tonight. That's probably what will happen. But there is a route where I could see Joe Val actually being really, really strong here. And honestly, those other guys, Whiteside is a fake good defender. He's not really a good defender, so don't worry.
He sucks. He just sucks.
He does suck. All right, so that's pretty much that one.
All right, so Boston, Milwaukee. I don't know if this is going to be a showcase game or a game where they just rest everybody and just kind of like play 100 guys. But at some point, this is going to be a big game. You know what I mean? Like maybe like to get into the playoffs, these guys can end up playing at some point. So for now, I mean, let's look at Boston first. Enes Kanter's 3K. I guess it's the first thing I noticed. Enes Kanter's 3K. And I am just pretty sure that that Stevens is going to just spread minutes out of whoever he can. I mean, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys, 11 guys maybe. I think everybody will get minutes. I don't know if they're firing their best shot here, but you tell me. But one thing I will just say basketball-wise, for those of you that forgot, as we went into the break, Jason Tatum was really on another level. There's several games in a row where he was like at this price, and we're like, how can you play him at this price? And he just kept on smashing. So I don't know how much this guy worked during the break or whatever, but just something to keep in mind that this guy's really, really good. So I don't know. I really didn't plan on playing much of the Celtics here, but I guess my first comment was that Enes Kanter is 3K, and he needs to play about. Oh my! Am I going to do this again? Keep forgetting centers against Milwaukee. Okay, so Enes Kanter's 3K. I'll say that he's my favorite play on the Celtics. Anyway.
He'll definitely be the most owned set, but which is not saying much.
Oh, he is. Oh, okay. I didn't come up with this.
No, but it's not. But nobody's owning any Celtics, so it's fine.
Okay, so Milwaukee. Yeah. So this is the way I always look at Giannis. I look at his minutes projection, and I see if there's upside from those minutes or downside from those minutes. And what I'm looking at is they're projecting to 30 minutes, and I don't see any universe where he plays more than 30 minutes. Unless, again, I didn't look at any narrative stuff. I didn't look at any coach speak or any Giannis speak, or if he's just really just killing to go out there and just play a huge game and play 36 minutes. But I don't know. I would take odds because he's 9,300. But like you said, I would take odds on Lillard outscoring Giannis. You know what I mean? I would take that in the shot. Just because of the way I think this game could go. But maybe I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. The guy who just from a pure price perspective just stands out for me is probably going to be Middleton, I guess. And again, you don't really want to attack the Celtics too much. Boy, am I really going to fade this game? That's brutal. But anyway, Lopez, another cheap center, 4,800. How many minutes is he getting? I don't know. This is a tough game for me. What do you think? I'll defer to you.
So for the Boston side of it, I think you got to get ownership because no one's going to play Tatum. Like just
okay.
Take the chance. You know, it's you've also got him priced in a similar price range to Porzingis, who I like better. But I also think that you could make an argument for both of them. And I like your overall point. I could easily see downside in all of these teams' minutes. I could also argue that they, try and find the right rotation. I don't see these guys playing as many minutes. I do think that Jalen Brown on FanDuel is like you got to play him. He's 5,700, 5,800.
Sure.
A lot, at least in some lineups, you got to play him. I think that Jason Tatum, it's a struggle for me because I liked his attitude before. He was sort of tenacious, and I felt like if he comes back with that same mentality, you might really see him get up for these games. And I've been watching him and Embiid play one-on-one, and I've been watching him and Jalen Brown play one-on-one. Neither one of which, by the way, is he faring very well in. But they go back and forth pretty good. But anyway, he's just an interesting play at low ownership tonight. I think it's worth taking a shot. I think it's really worth taking a shot on being way underweight on Giannis on FanDuel, where he'll be even higher owned, I think.
Is he going to be popular, Giannis?
It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible not to play him on FanDuel. Really, the way they build, because you have to play, the drop off from him is $5K or something to the next guy.
Oh, is that right? See, silly me. I told her I was going to max them out. I still haven't even looked at it yet.
No worries. Anyway, but at the same time, he hasn't scored less than 50 fantasy points in 17 years.
Yeah.
So, just beneath the field, just because I want to take a little bit of a different approach. But don't get me wrong, Giannis will be out of my 5 big lineups, he's going to be in 1 or 2 of them possibly. Just because on FanDuel, well, 3 of them are on FanDuel. And
what now? Again, maybe I should wait till the end of this. But what are you playing? I mean, you playing
3 555s on FanDuel, 2 555s on DraftKings. I'm playing all the $3.33 ones, and I think I'm going to play all of the $25.
There you go. I like it. All right. Okay, you want to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. So Sacramento against San Antonio. Oh, I actually like some of this. All right, so this is going to be – I didn't expect to. But so Sacramento first, good. I get to look at the team I like first. I like the 4 guys that I like always. Rashard Holmes, another center, another cheap center. Wow. They can't play all these guys, right? So Holmes at 5,100. I got to look for ownership of this. So you got to tell me who's going to be less owned of all these guys. Fox is going to be fine. Bogdan, he's been playing well in his scrimmages. Actually, I think he led the team in scoring in the last scrimmage. I think at 4,800. Okay, we're back doing this again. I like it.
4,800, and he honestly could end up playing the most minutes of anybody on the team.
Yeah,
so that's kind of an interesting.
I wonder. So, Hield is they're really going to make him be a bench player, huh? I thought that was just an experiment.
I don't think it's going to affect the minutes the way that people think. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it happens.
Harrison Barnes sucks. Why does he start? Anyway, Buddy Hield always has upside. I'm not the slightest bit concerned about San Antonio's defense. Yeah, I like all these guys. I think I'm going to play maybe a couple of these. Holmes, Fox, Bogdan. He's in this lineup here. I like Bogdan here. I think that's a pretty good play. Oh no, San Antonio total. Oh God, another one.
Oh, it's
100 of these guys.
I know.
All right, so Podol at 4,700. Do you know that we I don't know if you did. I played Podol at 70% ownership once this last year.
I think he actually got there too.
I don't know. The one time he did, one time he definitely did not.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I think you almost won $1 zillion fading him. I'm pretty sure of that. Okay, so Podol at 4,700. Lonnie Walker at 3,200. I don't know if this is the day that I get to DeJounte Murray and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
Who is Kelvin Johnson?
He's going to get some minutes too. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. Two-way, he was playing two-way earlier, back and forth to the G League, I think. And I don't know. I'm not going to – the Spurs, again, you could worry about them balancing it out, but at these prices, I don't think it matters. I love Podol on both sites. I like him on FanDuel as my only center at 4,200. I like him over here at 47. I think there's upside for this total for him, for the total for Podol. I also don't think he's a huge risk to get less than 20 some odd fantasy points. Lonnie Walker is the preferred play from the Spurs side for me. It doesn't really he's 3,200. He's starting now. He is explosive if you've watched him before. I'm honestly surprised that the ownership is not projected even higher on him, but maybe it's because there's so much value.
So much.
I think that again, though, you're like, again, I'm way underweight on Giannis. I'm going to be way underweight on Harden and way underweight on Luka. So I'm going to be playing, taking little shots with these guys. I can play 15% of DeMar DeRozan if I do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's worth actually taking a shot. Like, technically they are still playing for the playoffs. I'd rather not hitch my wagon to the Spurs, but I'd rather go on the Kings side. But before I get over there, I do think that DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, Podol, I feel pretty good about. And I actually don't even think DeRozan is like a huge risk player. I just like other players mostly in his range, especially on Fanduel. But on DraftKings, he does have a little bit more of an appeal to me. So I'll take some shots with him.
So I'll read this to you from, this was really easily accessible on the DraftKings website. So Kelvin Johnson was 21 points in his last game in the preseason, whatever. 7 of 8 from the field. 1 of 1 from 3, 6 of 7.
Yeah.
3 rebounds, 3 assists, 25 minutes. It says incredible offensively, could barely miss. I just wish this were a short slate where he could be 50% owned, where I could just play 0 of them. You know what I mean? Like,
but nobody's playing him anyway. So I mean, he's gonna be like 5% owned at max, I think.
Oh, really?
I mean, as of right now, I've got him projected at 0.1%, but I'm sure that's off.
Well, I'll get 10 times over the field and get 1% of him.
He'll be owned more than that. I don't know. I will maybe when we get a better idea about the minutes.
You won't. I mean, how could you have a better idea of that? It's already just totally speculative. And whatever. And Popovich.
Well, I have a better idea if for some reason he was starting.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That would be the idea, but otherwise.
Well, if he's starting, then there's a problem because then he's 50% owned, right?
No, there's too many 3K guys. Like if Lonnie Walker at 3.2 is not going to be more than 30% owned. I mean, how
is Walker starting? You think?
Yeah, he's supposed to be.
Are we going to find out who starts in these games?
That's a really good question, and let's get into that one another day.
Woo! Let's see. Let's see what happens.
Talk about all my love for the Sacramento. This is the kind of team you want to be targeting, sort of like the the young group. They're going to be out there playing, I think. I like Fox a lot. He's going to be low owned. I like Bogdanovich a lot. I like Holmes. He's going to be popular, but I still like him. I like him better on FanDuel. And I like Bjelica better on FanDuel too. But I think that just taking some shots with Bjelica on FanDuel is a good way to pivot off the Holmes chalk. Because there's a way that it could play out where Bjelica ends up getting more of that run, or Jabari comes in and ends up playing 4 and Bjelica plays 5. Harry Giles is also going to get some run in the mix, who you probably want like the tiny. No, if he was minimum cost, you want the tiniest bit of exposure. I don't think you can do it at this price. And then even Buddy Hield, like just take shots on all these guys would be what I would recommend, and be well over the weight on these guys, but especially Fox, Holmes, Bogdanovich. They're the ones you want to be the highest on. But I do like that Bjelica play the more I think about it.
Hey, when you play 150 lineups in these things, do you make sure how many or is this a big deal? How many uniques do you need to have in your lineups?
Explain the question.
Okay, so you're playing 150 lineups. I mean, do you ever have like lineups with 8 of the 9 guys the same?
What do you mean?
Like if you're playing 150 lineups in basketball.
Oh, how many of them are going to have 8 of the same 9 guys?
Yeah. How many?
It'll vary completely.
Okay.
I don't believe in that having like a hardcore set. It's like, what's the most you'd spend for a player on this slate? It's all slate dependent.
Well, I just say that only because that's when you play 150 lineups and all the optimizers and all the settings, it asks number of uniques that you can slide to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll usually put 2 as the thing on there, but
okay. Well, that's
but not always though. It changes. I
okay.
haven't done that today.
All right, so let's finish it off. Woo! Look at this.
Didn't like any of that.
Yeah, if you didn't like any of that, you get a 230-point total with 3 of the 4 best players in basketball probably on the court. So I just threw that stat out there. I have no idea if that's even close to accurate. But so one thing I will tell you about Houston, I'm pretty sure about this. They are playing this game like a real game. I don't know
if they have another mode. I really don't.
Right. They do in preseason. They do it all the time. And what that means is that you get 35 minutes probably out of Westbrook and Harden. And if that's the case, what that does is okay, with a lot of guys, there are minutes risk that you have to really worry about. And I think that the absence of minute risk on these guys, I would say absence of it, the relative absence of minute risk on these guys make them extremely strong plays in general.
I do want to point out that Westbrook might be not restricted in minutes, but it's the first time I can actually say that I don't know that we'll see as many minutes out of him as we will somebody else. Like, because of the being late to camp of the coronavirus, not just having the virus, but just, being later to get ready basically at the end. Although this guy, I mean, we know this guy, man, he'll eat his own children or whatever while he's on the court. Like, he'll do whatever he can to win the game.
So the three guys I like, and one guy I don't need on this slate. The one guy I don't need on this slate is Daniel House. But in general, I like playing him just as kind of like a guy. Yeah. But I don't need him today. I might need some Harden. I might need some. I don't say need him because there's a lot of other guys I can play. But Harden's fine. Westbrook, I was going to be really into him until you just said that. So it's like really annoying.
Well, no, but I am into him. I'm still going to be way over the field. People are going to be also a little bit skeptical, a little bit worried about him.
At 6,100, Covington is really tough to not play. So if you want just straight point per dollar in value, I think Covington's very, very strong. I don't know where I'm going to put him in, but I guess just on the numbers, I do like him a lot. And nobody else on Houston. On Dallas, now again, this is where we left off, right? We left off with Dallas with this type of mode. There was like 10 games in a row where Porzingis was priced up and nobody played him, okay? Because they thought he was
finished and he had the highest score of the night 3 nights in a row.
Right, and you played him every one of those times. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
And I would say made money, but we made money on that play. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And
no,
so that's where we left.
On my last, I think it wasn't quite 100. It was 75K. It was a 50K and a 25K that I won.
So that's where we left off with him, and he's just never ever looked good in projections, and he just kept on putting ceilings up every single game, right? To the point where you're like, maybe that's not even a ceiling. Maybe like that's what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. So it's very similar today. I mean, he just looks like some break-even value type guy who you don't want to play, like especially at the center position where you have all these freaking value guys that you're going to want to hopefully that maybe you want to jam in. I mean, I think that of all the guys, and this is like a West game of one of the last games, I guess, also one of the last games is if you can get a low-owned Porzingis. Considering also that if anything, people are going to play Luka. Not that I'm going to complain people playing Luka. Maybe that's the nuts, or maybe just try to find a way to play Porzingis. Aside from that, Luka's just fine by me. I mean, he's good. Guy who shows up in projections being all right. I'm not going to play him tonight. Is DFS. I just don't think I need it. So I guess it's standard, right? Oh, standard. Play Luka if you want. Porzingis would be the low-owned alternative, and Houston, Harden, Westbrook, Covington.
Yeah, so basically, I agree with some of what you thought, and some parts I really strongly agree with. Some of my parts I don't. I think Daniel House is a better safe option than the other guys.
Okay.
Now, does that mean is he dangerous? Does that mean for tournaments he's going to be worth? Like, I don't know how we're going to decide that. Like, is 20 going to be enough from him? Maybe that's going to be great, Right. But so what I would be looking at generally is I would want to take guys who are cheap and in high totals who are going to be playing minutes rather than just speculating on other guys. Now, this is a little different because some of those guys we're speculating on could end up being like the second most important offensive player on the team. Daniel House is never going to be that. He's going to be the 4th or 5th on almost all the time. But he's going to do enough other things. He's 3,800. You can play him sort of along with a Westbrook and maybe a Porzingis on the other side as a little mini game stack exposure to this high total. So I do like him. He's my second highest owned Rocket.
Okay.
Definitely being Westbrook. I have him right now plugged in at 35 to 45. I'd like to be. I initially had it at 65 to 75. That's where I'm at with Lillard, by the way, right now.
Wow.
I'm just obsessed with the Lillard thing. But I wish I could just, and maybe I will just put him aside and just say, you know what? I'm betting on the guy who I know, and I just know how he's going to come out playing. I also think that having a guy like Luka on the other side, who everyone talks about being a better basketball player than him, and
that's not a good thing to.
That's going to get to both Westbrook and Harden. It actually worries me about fading Harden because I am going to have way less Harden in the field. But it does worry me because I could see him going out there and trying to say, oh, yeah, you know what? This is what I'm going to do tonight. Sort of like a Lillard would, but he also has Westbrook on his team. So that's why I'm giving the massive edge to Westbrook overall. He's also going to be way lower owned. He's much cheaper. I can play him with Dame at the same price and get different. There's all the reasons. And then I play Daniel House. I throw in Porzingis on the other side, and there's a little starting core, you know?
Yeah.
And that's basically what I'm looking at today because I've got KP also at 35 to 45.
Really?
I'll be well under the field on Luka. KP actually is way too cheap. He should be 9,500 or more here. Now, the funniest part is I would love to say there's one other guy who I like. I do think DFS makes some sense, and if you're going to stack the game, you can kind of throw him in there. But I don't think you need him today. I kind of agree with that one. But I do like Maxi Kleba, and I think that without Powell in other games, we're going to want to attack him. And maybe it'll work out that way tonight where they just insist on him being on the court. But I don't see them trying to force a center out there. I think they'll probably just play Kristaps at the 5 some of the time. But I do think Kleba will get minutes. I was hoping that maybe he'd have upside of 34-plus minutes, and Houston's not the kind of team that they would need his body out there for those reasons. So maybe they would use him like that. Maybe they won't. Speculative play, but definitely a guy you want to mix into your mix on FanDuel more than DraftKings. So Luka below the field. I just am going to be below the field on all the stars, guys. Like Luka, Harden, and Giannis are all going to be I'm going to be half the field on all those guys.
Okay.
But I may end up with Giannis just because on FanDuel and the high buy-ins, I'm willing to eat some of that chalk just for the sure points at small forward. It's hard to get that, to make that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So on FanDuel, it's a little bit more necessity to play him, which is kind of sucks.
All right.
So
it's pretty good. You want to review your ownerships real quick, and you want to differentiate between DraftKings and FanDuel, or?
Yeah. So real quick, actually, you know what? Let me do this because I like to do sometimes with basketball. Let me stop your screen share. Let me share mine.
Sure.
I'll show my initial quick builds, and then I'll read my ownerships.
Sure.
All right. All right. Let's do a FanDuel. So you got this one, right? All right. You got my FanDuel one, right?
Yep.
All right. So you can see like in my bigger buy-ins early on, and I put look, I'm still going to make some changes to these. I do have Harden in one of my 5 big buy-ins. I don't know that I'm going to leave him there. I'm probably not going to. I just sort of wanted to get it. Literally, you kind of had to if you wanted to get away from Giannis. I also have Bjelica and Hachimura, who I probably am not going to keep in the 555, although I might leave Bjelica in one. On my other big ones that are down here, you can see Dame is going to be in a lot of these lineups overall. I have a Westbrook Rubio one.
Did you have a lineup there with like 2,000 on the table?
Yeah, there's some the $3 ones. I'm definitely doing that with a few of them.
Okay.
Because I think that to try and get different and winning a tournament with the $3 tournament versus winning the $25 tournament is very different. Also, it's a lot more people in the $3, as you can imagine. But yeah, sorry about that. I'm just gonna actually make sure. Loading up. Sorry, it's my screen share is actually freezing the screen a little bit. So in order to read my lineup ownership percentages, I'm gonna have to stop the share because it's kind of
okay.
Oh, here it goes. It's starting. Look at this. You see this? All messy here, but there it goes. Yeah, you can see my other one. Like what I wanted to do while I thought of it was I think I'm gonna switch away from the Tatum, go up, play KP in this lineup with him, and then go ahead and do this. The center, it's a little different over here. You know what I mean? It's I have Ayton. I do want some exposure to Vooch, and it kind of has a nice little correlation, a little bit like a mini correlation. And then I'm just holding this for the time being. I'm going to change it, but I'm going to put Jalen Brown in again. It's really hard. That's the thing I'm saying about Jalen Brown over here. 5,800 is a whole different thing when you're looking at everybody else who's around him. So that's just sort of like one of the builds I'm going with right now. Any last thoughts or ideas on these particular builds?
No, I mean, again, I want to look at a little more FanDuel myself, but I'm going to be interested. I'm going to look at the ownerships and see because there's a lot of good plays, and like I said, you can't play everybody. And I'll end up playing the guys that are lower owned. Well, I mean, I think we identified like 25 good plays. You know what I mean? Like there's like some really good plays, I think, today.
Absolutely awesome plays, and you can get them all in, which is, I'm just going to remind you, what happens when it happens is that everybody flocks to the most expensive guys.
Okay.
I'm saying just drop that tier a little bit, move your value up a little bit. And I think
be a little more balanced.
To be a little bit more balanced, but balanced with the high mid tier, the mid or the high tier, whatever, the 8 and 9Ks.
Right.
Anyway. All right, Cheats. Well, this was good, man. I'm glad we did this. Guys, hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to stop my share so I can edit in this video.
And after you stop the thing, just stay in there with me because I want to talk to you.
Okay. All right, guys. Hey, for Sheets, I'm Bobby saying we'll see you at the top of leaderboards, and thank God we have NBA back. Can't wait.